Bingo.
Okay. So you've been doing this for 10 years now, Cameron. So what's an example of a result that or even more than one if you want to share that you've got for clients that you're just incredibly proud of? You don't have to name names, you
Mhm.
can if you want, totally your call.
I've got a couple actually that really come to
Okay.
mind pretty quickly. One is May Stigler, who was the COO for a company called Organifi.
Okay.
Organifi is a great consumer packaged goods business, 100 plus million in revenue. May has been a member of the COO Alliance, and at one of our COO Alliance events, she said that I have this on video, that she generated at least $4 million worth of revenue ideas or savings for her company at one
Wow.
3-day event. And she only paid
Wow.
$6,000 to be at the event, so $4 million in value is pretty big.
Pretty good ROI.
Pretty good ROI. I think as a friend of ours once said, the cost of inaction well outweighs the ROI
Yeah.
opportunities, like the COA, right? Another big one that was our very first member, a guy named Zach, and Zach Morrison is the or was the COO of a company at the time called Elite SEM. They're now called Tenuity.
Okay.
Tenuity grew into about a 2,500 person digital marketing agency. When Zach started in the COO Alliance as a member 10 years ago, he was at our very first event. He was member number one. He was a member for about 3 years. They had about 50 employees.
Okay.
Um, 3 years later, they were at about 300. And then he actually transitioned a couple of years later from the COO into the CEO role after a good exit, and then helped scale that up to about 3,000 employees. So that
Wow.
was a big success with him was his systems around culture, shedding the imposter syndrome, his feelings of more confidence that he carried into the business. A guy named Guy Barry, who's been a member of the CEO Alliance for 8 years. He's been with a company called Redirect Health. They've gone from about 40 employees up to 400. He's been to roughly 16 in-person events, and his CEO, Dave Berg,
Yep.
has
Yep.
basically said, if you're going to be the COO of my company, you don't ever stop going to the COO Alliance, right? Like Dave says that I'm in an entrepreneurs organization and strategic coach and genius network. I will never stop going as long as I'm CEO. If you're the COO, you'll be in the COO Alliance. So that, again, watching Guy Barry's transition over the years and his confidence. First year that he showed up, he was quiet, a little more nervous. Now he's literally the CEO of a $300 million company doing some serious, serious revenue.
Yeah.
I got lots of those stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really phenomenal. And did you and David Berg, you guys met at Genius Network too, I would assume then.
We actually met before the Genius Network. We
Oh,
met
okay.
at a baseball game that two entrepreneurs organization members invited us to go to. And Dave and I ended up chatting the entire time, never talked to the two EO members that brought us. And I said to him on the walk home, we should at least talk to these guys. And Dave and I became good friends. We both were talking about the Genius Network and we'd heard about it a couple weeks before. He said he was going to join, and I said, okay, I'll join too. And then we also decided to join Strategic Coach at the same time. So,
Okay.
and I'd been in Strategic Coach 10 years before, but I rejoined. But so, yeah, we didn't meet at Genius Network, but we both joined. Had we not met each other, neither one of us would have been Genius Network, put it that
Isn't
way.
that something? Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. It's always interesting to hear these stories. So,
Amazing.
well, okay. So now that we've got a little bit of context set here and people have an understanding of who you are and what you're all about, I want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to start talking about the relationship side of all of this and dig into
Yeah.
that. So, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And Cameron, I'm just
Yeah.
really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yeah, there is. So I'm gonna give a shout out to two.
Okay.
The first is a guy named Greg Clark, and Greg was the founder of College Pro Painters.
Okay.
And College Pro was this franchise organization that I was awarded a franchise in when I was 20 years old. And I ran a franchise for 3 years. Then I went on to join the head office and I was a general manager for 4 years where I was recruiting, hiring, training, and coaching franchisees for them. I coached 120 franchisees in 4 years. one of which was Elon Musk's younger brother. Kimball Musk worked for me 33
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, I hired Kimball in 93. I also hired his cousin, Peter Reeve, who went on to build Solar City. They were both franchisees for me 33 years ago. So
Wow.
College Pro for me was my real world MBA. In fact, Elon, there's no hyperbole here, but I was a reference for Elon and Kimball in their first round of funding for Zip2 in January of 95. And they had one employee. They were raising money. They were trying to raise $600,000.
Okay.
And they raised the money based on Kimball Musk's College Pro Painters experience. College Pro is referenced in Elon's book by Walter Isaacson. It's pretty safe to say that they probably or may not have been funded had it not been for College Pro.
Wow.
Kimball called me that night and he's like, I don't know what you told them, but we asked for 600,000. They gave us 3 million bucks. And
Wow.
they sold Zip2 3 years later for $317 million in cash to Compaq. So that was prior to PayPal.
Yeah.
So anyway, for me, my real world MBA was at College Pro Painters, and the mentoring that I received from this amazing program that Greg put in place to really empower students to be entrepreneurs back when entrepreneurship was not cool.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking 1986 here. This is 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur, we were greedy capitalists, we were vilified. It was
Yep.
not a cool thing to be an entrepreneur. And he made it cool. He made it culty. And then he gave us the business in a box and trained us to go off and do it. Um, so that was my first.
Okay.
The second shout out that was from that same organization, and it was a woman named Mary Mowbray, who was my general manager in my second year, and she really, really mentored me and developed me and inspired me and really showed me what situational leadership was, really showed me what a soft kick in the ass could be like, really showed me what holding me accountable and cheering me on could be like, really exemplified situational leadership and coaching and teaching and mentoring and caring about a person so much so that I like it was a very formative. I have never spoken about Mary in all these years. I think about her a lot, but yeah, Mary Mowbray was a huge, huge one for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious, what's an example of a situation where you personally, Cameron, got to make a really substantial impact, and maybe it even surprised you a little bit in the moment, but yet you also know that would have never been possible if not for your relationship with either Greg or with Mary. What's an example of like in a situation where you were empowered in that way?
Oh, well, so many. Like there's so when I was the general manager with College Pro, you know, and I was taking these 20-year-old kids, Kimball Musk, right? I mean, I hired Kimball Musk at 20 years old out of Queen's University and coached him and trained him on how to run his own company and then set him off on his entrepreneurial journey. I did that 120 times
Wow.
with
Wow.
so for me to do that, and I mean I could drop the names of a dozen entrepreneurs that have sold companies for 50 to 100 million dollars that used to be a franchisee for me that
Yeah.
I hired and trained and coached. So I definitely feel like I was part of that flywheel effect or part of that butterfly
Yeah.
effect for a lot of those people.
Yeah. For a lot of people. And so well, so now I'm curious, you've got to this place now where, COO, 10 COO Alliance, you're 10 years into this. You've really had some amazing results, had a big impact, not just on the COOs that you guys serve, but my goodness, I mean, like the ripple effect of that is
Huge.
huge.
Yeah, we
Um,
were we were being interviewed by Justin Martin from Fortune magazine back in 2003, and I was talking to Justin and told him the stories of a few people, and he was like, "Wow, Fortune magazine should really write a story about the number of entrepreneurs that have come out of the house painting space. It's been pretty incredible."
yeah. So what's your vision for this all going forward from
And
here,
and
Cam?
and Kevin, you know, the reason that is as well was we had 800 franchisees every year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was
Wow.
big. Like College Pro, we had to go out and recruit, hire, and train 800 franchisees, and then they would hire 8,000 students.
Wow.
So we had to build an 8,800 person company every year. I mean, I was a real hardcore real world MBA that I was in the top 30
Wow.
people of that business.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
legit.
So that, I mean, that business was really like your launching pad for
Yeah.
everything that you've done since.
Yeah, like no one talks about College Pro. They always ask me about
1-800
1-800
got
got junked,
junk and
but
all that. Yeah.
what about Boyd Auto Body? What about the private currency business? They don't even know of those stories. Like with Elon, they all talk about PayPal, but no one even knows that Zip2 existed and he
Yeah.
sold Zip2. I think he had about he owned 18% of the company that he sold for 320 million. That money rolled into X.com and PayPal Labs. Like, so, but they don't understand the night before you become the overnight success. So everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, that 1-800 got you. Yeah, but I'd been running companies for 14 years
Long time
before I
before.
walked into 1-800 got junk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's interesting how when we look back, all of these transitions that you've been through that have just
yeah,
got you to where you're at right now, making the impact that you're now making and stuff. And
lots of failure
yeah,
transitions too.
yeah, you bet. Well, so let's you brought it up. Let's talk about some of that. And let's because you know what, we all as entrepreneurs, it ain't all rainbows and unicorns, as my daughter says.
Do you know what's interesting though? I've not found a single entrepreneur yet, not one, who in the moment of the crisis talks about the crisis that they're in.
No, no, it's
We'll talk about it
after.
a year later. We'll
Yeah,
talk about it 2 years later. We'll talk about it a month later. But because when we're in that moment, we're so vulnerable, we're so scared, we're so fucking
yep,
frustrated, we're so worried, we're so overwhelmed. Our business is under siege. Like, and if you tell, then you're weak and people can attack you. If you tell, then your customers can come after you. So we're all online talking about here's my beautiful life traveling around the world, but no one ever talks about in the moment trenches of how brutally hard it is. And I think it's a bit of a disservice for people that think entrepreneurship is so wonderful. They don't understand like Kimball and Elon used to sleep on the floor of their office and shower next door at the MBA for 6 months before they raised that first money.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but no one talks about that, right? Brian at 1-800 Got Junk would walk to work, was driving his grandmother's car, and we had rips all through the carpeting in the office because we couldn't afford to do anything else.
yeah,
But no
yeah,
one talks about that story.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what you want a good failure one?
You bet, because here's any entrepreneur who's been around doing their thing for a while, we all know there's ebbs and flows and highs and lows, and there's big celebrations, and there's also really dark times too.
Yeah.
And
Um, what's a good one? We almost bankrupted 1-800 Got Junk when we were 60 to $100 million in system-wide sales. But
wow,
I've talked about that one a few times. Um, Having to fire the entire Canadian office and shut down the entire Canadian office of our barter company was tough,
wow,
all in one day. Take their keys, close the door. Having to fire 150 people out of 900 when I was part of the barter company in Seattle in a single day. And then 2 weeks later, we had to do it again and fire another 150. That was
wow,
brutal. Um, Having to fire my brother's best friend when I was 20 and this kid was 18. That was brutal. Burning down a customer's camp because the flames caught fire because of oil rags. Uh, and he didn't talk to me for 10 years. That was brutal.
wow.
There's so many.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
many. And you can learn from all the failures, right? But
Yep, yep.
yeah, like yeah, it's not what'd you say? It's not all rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, for anybody that might be listening to this and thinking to themselves, man, Kevin, I really love Cameron. I really love who he is and what he stands for. And maybe they're like thinking like, man, you know what? It might make sense for us to find out more about what he's doing. Or maybe they're looking for an amazing speaker for an upcoming event stuff. Any websites? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and follow up if they
Yeah,
want to do that?
best website is CameronHerold.com, and it's
Okay.
Herold. So CameronHerold.com has links to the COO Alliance. It has links to my Invest in Your Leaders training, links to my podcast, my books, YouTube channels. It's all there.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Cameron, is there any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
Yeah, it's related to this tattoo that I got a couple of years ago. This is in Hindi, but it's the Ram Dass quote of walking each other home. And it's just a reminder that none of this actually matters, right? We're just taking care of each other on this journey towards the inevitable, ending, right? The
Yeah.
only metric that's still 100% perfect is the death rate.
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for certain, we're all gonna die, and we ain't taking nothing with us when we do, you know?
So let's enjoy the journey and have fun along the way and laugh a
Yeah,
little because I think so often people forget that, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and also to remember that our employees are struggling. Our employees are, struggling with their health or their parents or their relationship or their dog or their weight or their whatever, insecurities, childhood traumas that I think if we as leaders care about our people more and remember to have fun along the journey,
yeah, yeah.
it all gets a lot easier and a lot more fun.
You bet. You bet. Yeah. I mean, just treat people well. And I mean, and if us entrepreneurs, man, I mean, like you mentioned a lot of these groups, Genius Network and EO and this, and Yonex Group. And, there's so many opportunities to just collaborate and co-create with like-minded people who share our values, who share our interests. And you know what? Together, man, we can do far, far more together with like-minded people than we could ever do on our own. Yeah.
Totally. This is,
It's
one of our partners for the COO Alliance is the Genius Network. They're one of our gold partners. And the reason that we chose them to be our partner, they're the exclusive entrepreneurial mastermind that we talk about and tell our members to join, is because you need that network.
yeah,
You need the people around you that have gone through the valley of death a number of times to help you get through it. You need people around you that are smarter than you in different areas and that you can help and they can help you, right? And then you need those people out there that can kind of give you ideas and give you confidence and also just become a peer network because most of your friends will never understand. So it makes the journey less vulnerable, makes it less lonely, it makes it a lot more fun, and it makes it easier.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Cameron, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I'm excited to get this out there and share it with folks. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet.